Hello，哎，你稍微往这里，要不然我还扭着脖子看你。我忘了，这样，有没有动这个 camera？ 我这脖子这个睡觉就落枕了。
OK，这个看来赵总晚上睡觉还挺不老实哈。
哎呦，可了不得。Action. Hello, dear friends. My lovely audiences, welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow on the East West with G&E TV. With me today is my good friend, Mr. Wei Luo, founder and CEO of California Sunshine Education Center. He's an educator for life, and he also is a commentator. I really like to hang on with him, especially when there are some issues important but soft. You're not talking about the hard landing issues, crash or not crash. You're talking about everybody's okay issue. That I call soft issue, however important. Every time when I come across issues like that, I get him, all right? I ask him for help. I invite him to come here to shed lights, right? So today, in talking about understanding of the subject, country versus people, of course, a soft one. As you can see, how soft it is already, right? So I have him invited. With that as a lead line, you are seriously welcome, sir, to the show.
I'm seriously thank you for inviting me for the show.
All right.
Hello, good. Audience.
All right, very good, very good. Okay, nowadays, the biggest topic, there's nothing bigger as a topic than talking about the U.S. and China trade war, right? Somebody called it a trade war. Somebody calls it trade conflicts, all right? Somebody calls it a tariff war. But overall, they are talking about unhappiness, right? So what is your overall impression or definition about what's happening now?
I think that the terminology of trade war is a little bit over-excavating the issue that on the table between U.S. and China trade relationship from this perspective. Number one is that the trade volume takes a very little part out of total GDP for both countries. If we take a look at the whole economy size of the U.S. side, the trade between China, the number of the trade between China and the U.S. only takes about 1.7% of total GDP that the U.S. economy is, while China and the trade volume between U.S. and China is about 580 billion, which only takes about less than 5% of the total GDP that China produces. So that's I think that even if, let's assume that there's no trade between U.S. and China, there's no critical impact on both countries' economy and the people's life. That's my takeaway. So
Are you saying that without trading each other, they both will be doing fine?
That's my assumption, and that's my observation. But it may not be correct from economist point of view, but from common people as well as educated on both countries through my travels in China, what I observed will probably, even if without this trade relationship with China or from China's side or from U.S. side, the life of both peoples will not be impacted that much.
I will respectfully disagree with you.
Well,
by a great extent. Which means if that happens, that really happens though, there will be no U.S. cars on the streets in China, right? And there will be no Walmart in the United States, right? Where when I go home, they entertain me, they pick me at the airport, they show me around the city in U.S. Cadillacs, right? Boogs, right? those U.S. beautiful first-class cars. And here I myself, every time I need something, I first think of a Walmart, right? To buy those made in China Walmart merchandise. So suppose if someday there's no American cars on the Chinese street and no Walmart here in the United States, that's going to be a disaster. Am I all right?
I don't agree with you. And from China's perspective, if there's a no American car, there's BBA, acronym for Mercedes, Benz, and Audi. There are Volkswagen. There's a Kias. There's a Skoda, which is
and Japanese cars.
There's a Japanese car overpouring in the street. Mm-hmm. And if there's a Walmart in China, there is a Carrefour, which
no. There's no Walmart here. What will replace?
Okay, there's no Walmart over here. Probably it would be a disaster. But we have Target. But we have other. But there will be Walmart.
No.
There will be a Walmart.
When we say Walmart, we use word name of Walmart to represent those grassroots stores.
Let me present my point of view is that there will be Walmart, but there will be Walmart. There will be no Walmart with Chinese produced products, which takes about 60% of this store's merchandise if China and the U.S. stop the relationship in trade.
Well, anyway, but to my eye,
the
more to the grassroots level, the greater the part that made in China makes a difference. Do you see what I mean?
I know.
I can buy a pair of slippers for $2.99 at Walmart.
That's right.
Which will last me for 10 years.
Jack, thinking this way. Thought about it. Let's just take the history a little bit back up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Think about 40 years ago. There was nothing made in China in this market. Walmart still existed.
I know. But back then, people cannot buy a pair of slippers for $2.99. Now they can. All right, for a picture frame, $1.99. For a 6x4, 6x4,
whatever.
$1.99 something.
Right.
Well, those are that's why I say the more to the grassroots level, the bigger the part it takes by proportion. All right, that benefits the average or average below people where I belong to.
Well,
do you think so?
I agree with you in part, but in another part, I don't agree with you. And believe me, lowers the price is not always a good thing.
All right, yeah, all right. And
the products designed for down the grass ground is not always a good thing. That will create abundance as well as a waste of merchandise.
One thing that you and I would clarify, that none of us being economists, right? So we have no background of economy at all.
That's right.
We're just talking from a regular person, average Joe's perspective, right? Okay, now, there are two ways of looking at the economy. One way is, right, there are 1% of people that controls 99% of the wealth of the United States. Remember the 99% movement, all right? So, okay, now, to the 1%, they will say, no, I'm not hurt at all. I don't even care. The whole nation, because when one represents 99, though, anything happens among any area of the 99, the one doesn't care, doesn't even feel the pain of. So does the economy. The economy does not feel the pain of. However, who do feel the pain is the people amongst the 99, right?
I agree with you.
That's my point.
I agree with you in this part. Probably if there will be no Walmart there will be no merchandise made from China in Walmart. Some people, especially as you said, down to the grassroots ground, and I would say that living below poverty lines will be impacted a lot.
They suffer.
They will suffer, but the percentage of this group of people takes a very minimum in the total population in the U.S. And in the U.S., I think that the middle class takes majority of the consumer markets as well as economic size.
You and I basically talking about the majority of the average people.
Majority basically in this country is middle class. They will not be impacted.
No. The majority. No. The majority is the average people below. Average and below, including average.
I would say middle.
That is majority.
If we
remember,
define,
it was you, exactly you and me, the other day when we were talking, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, talking about the U.S. size, the society, the shape of the society being a football, right? 2 tips and the fat area, the bigger area. And then goes like this, the curves like this, right? Like a parenthesis.
That's right.
Yeah, parentheses,
That's
opposite
right.
to each other.
That's
now,
right.
Well, what happens to the peso? We have a shrinking middle, we have a fattened bottom. That's the problem. And the ball is looking there, like this. It's looking like this, right?
I don't remember.
The ball is looking like a bowling bottle.
To continue our discussion, we have to clarify a couple of facts. Up to date, the middle class, meaning that the household income, when we're talking about household income, when we're talking about a house with 4 people, 2 working adults or 1 working daddy or mommy with 3 other family members in the house. And those household income in the U.S. as of today is somewhere at $50,000 per annual.
Yeah.
And in the California,
60 below is all considered that level.
No, when we're talking about poverty line, people belong to poverty line.
Poverty is 1/3 of it.
It's 1/3 of it. That's
Yeah.
right. It's about
1/3 of it.
17,000
Yes.
annually. And that group of people will be impacted by a Walmart without products made in China. But percentage of that group of people in the total population is very minimum. They will not create huge impact for the relationship between U.S. and China.
You and I both need to do some homework. If we do do the homework, we will find out the numbers will surprise both you and me. All right.
Well, let's continue our discussion.
Yeah, we should take it from our consumption whatsoever. Anyway, all right. Let's take a short moment now. We come back. We shall continue. This is a very, very serious point that we really want to clarify, make it to the root, right? So stay with us. 很重要的，真的。
影响不大了。
No.
不，我的观点是，你那个。因为这个实际上沃尔玛的廉价产品充斥啊，造成了很大的浪费。
Okay, now.
你看看我有观点告诉你，每年美国出口到非洲的2手的衣服占10个亿。
Okay, that's another issue, right? Let's talk about.
所以我就说，从需求这个角度来讲，有需求就有市场。
那不对呀，
必须的。
我们美国的食品49%到51%是浪费掉的。
对呀，所以你就不要这么廉价呀，
是浪费掉的。
所以你不需要这么廉价呀。
不，可问题是在于，即便如此，我们仍然有一大部分人是没有饭吃的，和饿着肚子是一个上学的孩子。赵美心他们国会每个这个是圣诞节往外发 turkey， 为什么发？
是的，
他们每个人都说一句话，
是的，
说是饿着肚子上床，饿着肚子上学的孩子们。
对，但是呢，我觉得这些孩子呢，就是很多人呢，实际上联邦有很多 program。
好了，无论什么，no，联邦的 program 根本 cover 不了。
你看 WIC 就 cover 啊，
根本 cover 不了。你去那个 L Mountain 那个排队那个领救济去看看，那叫一个人山人海，那叫一片汪洋。我去过3次，我亲自体会过。兄弟，我们都缺这个最基本的东西了。come back， 我没关系，我们是个这个纯。
但是也有个问题，你这玩意儿太便宜，东西太便宜了。我代表我的观点，我代表我中产阶级的观点。
OK，action。
对。
namely here, we first started here talking about if China and the U.S. does zero trade. I pointed out that in Walmart there will be no $2.99 sleepers, $1.99 for picture frame, right? And my friend, Mr. Wei Luo, founder and CEO of California Sunshine Center, an educator who I respect a lot, even I argue respectively, believes that it satisfied certain amount of people. However, the certain amount of people, population, putting the number together, they take a small amount of the U.S. population.
That is
right
correct.
now. Okay, and I really want to point out one thing. All right, to read the percentage of the population, of the poor population, is one thing. All right, to go to bed with an empty stomach is the other. Right? Okay. Now, if of 330 million people, right, out of that only 30 people dies of hunger, that's a minimum number. However, I bet you that will go on the international news headline for 2 months. Why? Because even though by proportion they are little, but to life, to the bottom line of value of the human concept, it is serious. Now, for a country, by doing that kind of trade, though, that satisfied a little, quote unquote, little amount of the bottom line, grassroots people, that's a great thing. I give you another perspective. There are 7.5 billion people on the global Earth. All right. However, according to Forbes, 85 human beings on the global Earth, they take half, 50% of the entire world's wealth. All right? In other words, if 3.5 billion people all die of hunger, they are still okay. They don't feel anything. All right? Yet people are dying. So we are talking about it's an empty stomach versus the population statistics, that kind of issue. For that, mathematics doesn't work.
Okay. You finished?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that I agree with you in a couple of points you just presented it out. Number one is that as a human being, even one people dying out of 330 million people, it is also a national shame.
Yes.
Die out of hunger, starvation. I believe with you that as government, we have to provide through the market invisible hand, cheapest yet quality food and clothing for those minimum wage earning population or nothing earned as income in the population pyramid.
Yeah, you're right.
There's no question about it. However, as government, provide through economic way the lower cost goods. It's only one out of 1,000 ways that government, as a government, when I talk about government from federal, state, and the city government, and also social charity organizations that can provide to save this group of people. For number one, we have, in California, we have a WIC program.
Yeah.
And we also have a food coupon, clothing coupon, and a residential house coupon to those people who cannot afford decent and minimum life-keeping suppliers, excuse me. And also we have organizations provided by the charity organizations or enterprises organizations that donate their part of the kindness to the people. And it's just up to people. I think that's just one thing that we want to do, or you and I, we can do, is that educate people, especially those who need in handy, that access to those programs are operated by government, both government and social organizations as well. And also to encourage them to go to find a job.
Right.
That's the minimum essential solution for the food and for the poverty. Because you cannot just get the supplier or free donation of the food and clothing go that far. You cannot. Eventually, you have to go out to work to earn your wage and to support yourself and the family. That's eventually creation, employment opportunity is the essential way to solve the starvation and hunger. That's the only way. We cannot just solve the problem with lower, cheap products.
You just let me know you're done.
I'm done.
Okay, very good. Now, okay, thank you very much. That's a very good statement, very strong statement. However, I still respectfully disagree, right? And for the following reasons, or there are the 5 factors here, all mixed, all at play. Number 1, government, which is the one going against the bigger government, too big government, too small government all the time. Plus, government money takes from tax money, takes from your pocket and my pocket. So government is always limited. Government is always limited to a certain point. All right, number 1. Number 2, even though there is the GI program, GR program, WIC program, the coupon program.
We just mentioned there are thousands of programs.
Whatsoever, they are still too little. Okay, now, I give you an example. In Los Angeles County alone, last time I was writing, I based upon my writing using the 2016 data. By then, there was 42,000 homeless every single night on the street, right? Now, when I rewrote my 2017 work, in 2018 though, I had to base my number on 2017 statistics. The 2017, it was 46,000. And by the fall of 2018, which is now, when I finish, I have to conduct the same number of the year of 2017 fall. You know what? 56 already homeless people.
$10,000 added.
Yeah, 10,000 added within half a year. Within half a year. Okay. So the resources are never enough. Number 3, you mentioned about the nonprofit, churches, charities, whatsoever. I would say, excuse me for saying that, whatever I say wrong represents only myself, Jack Chow's personal opinion. It has nothing to do with the EDI, with the organization, with GDTV, with the East West show. None at all. This is me, a regular man, my own personal opinion. All right. Those non-profit organizations, charity, or whatsoever, I would say there is a big number of them just do it for show. They do it for political purpose, right? They do it for, well, not exactly, I know there are good ones. There are many good ones, but there are many not good ones. So they will not help with the problem. Number 3, you're talking about giving everybody a job, make them work for their own, to support themselves, right? Okay, do you realize among the homeless, there are different kinds. There are first kind, which is class 1, who stumble over something, never were able to get back on their feet. Giving them a job whatsoever will save them. And then there are druggies who are there already deep at the very bottom. They can't fight over it, right? So, and they are the rotten one. They are getting rotten on a day-to-day basis. However, there are third one who are the mental health victims. They are suffering from mental health. You ask them to act like you do, or sober-minded like I do, that's unrealistic. They are sick people, all right? Now, altogether, they are a human being. They are life. They breathe, right? They drink, they think, they do whatever like you and I do. In a country, when we talk about street cats, street dogs, we even provide them a shelter though. Why can't we do something to the street human, right? Now, among all the factors, it comes down to the fifth factor. Market can do something. When the government can do something, the philanthropic groups can do something, whatsoever can do something altogether, the market can do something. Suppose the guy happened to have $1.99, $2.99, he can go to Walmart to buy himself a slippers so that he doesn't have to walk bare feet on the street, cut by a broken glass, end up in emergency that costs taxpayers money, all right? So $2.99 got a job, and the job out of his own pocket, that's only $2.99 he has, and yet Walmart, by doing trade with China, they had a supply of the cheap, low-cost sleepers. Well, that's the job. Let them do the job. What's wrong? So I say, combined factors, all the five at play, that has the problem taken care of. That is my point. So I say, if stopping the U.S.-China trade, at least that part is hurt.
Okay, you finished.
Yeah, I'm finished. I'm done.
Jack, I definitely respect what your sympathy to those disadvantaged people in the society, and I respect that, and I share a lot of common during our. It is improved by my talk with you throughout.
I'm very sorry. I'm a little excited. I'm sorry.
Yes, don't be excited. And
I'm sorry.
Excitement and sympathy doesn't solve the problem. I just want to let you know.
All right,
unfortunately,
okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
And
That's why I'm
number
sorry.
two is that I want to point it out to what you just presented. In addition to your sympathy and compassion to the disadvantaged people, is that you mixed up two perspectives: economic perspective and the social and government perspective of the solutions that we can layer to this to the topic, which is restart. For the economic reasons, let me tell you, Walmart doesn't have the social and responsibility that we thought it should have to the poor people. Walmart is a public company, and his objective or goal or mission is to produce profit to its shareholders. There's no question about it, right? Let me finish.
You're shifting.
Oh, hold on, just one second. So Walmart does not intentionally to help those lower people, I mean the lower income people or disadvantaged people with the cheapest products from its initial objective. It is the byproducts that Walmart provided, cheap products to those people who are affordable of the ways pursuing profit. Hold on just one. Let me finish.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Take a break.
Back, let you finish, okay?
Okay.
All right, my dear friends, we're over for the segment. Let's take a break and come back for Mr. Wei Lo to continue. Stay with us. Welcome back, my dear friends, my lovely audiences. This is a discussion about U.S.-China trade, and we came to a point at the impasse talking about without the supply of the lower-end products, what shall do and who shall suffer. And I let Mr. Wei Lo come back to continue where he didn't finish.
So let me just continue. That Walmart does not intentionally to provide cheap products to satisfy its social and social responsibility. That's per se. That's period. And it's just a coincidence that Walmart products meet the people who are in a lower income category who can afford quality yet lower price products. If Walmart doesn't supply those products, with the cheap price and yet quality products, there's always ways the market will come in with other kind of supply or similar products to to satisfy the needs of that group of people. This is the economic rule. And from the if we just take the picture a little bit and zoom out a little bit of the picture, we will see that even if Walmart meet the needs of disadvantaged people economically, and there are huge responsibilities that found in the government and the social and charity organizations whose mission and vision is to satisfy, to cover the bottom line of those disadvantaged people. That is the functionality of government and social organizations. It's not the functionality of Walmart or like product or like organizations in the street.
Yeah, you're done.
So let me back up to the point I presented, is that even if with the cheap products save a lot of people's life, but it is not a major functionality for our enterprise to do the job. It is government functionality to cover the bottom line. It is a government opportunity together with a lot of social organizations to provide the bottom line for those who are in need.
All right, good. You're done, right?
I'm done.
You're done. All right. There are two big areas that I do not agree, strongly do not agree, of course, respectively. Number one, when we discuss an issue, please do not shift the ground. The ground was that when Walmart can do a part of it, right, why can't we let them continue doing, right? It is not that we make it Walmart's obligation to do whatsoever. Walmart is a Walmart. It's only a private company, only go public. That's it, right? Now, and number two, you're talking about government. There is always a socialist and capitalist issue in between over the government issue.
Let's just put it
Let me
liberal way. Let me correct. Let me make an assertion.
Let me finish.
Liberal and conservative.
Let me finish. I'm talking about socialist issue, socialist perspective, and capitalist perspective. And from the capitalist perspective, we always want to shrink government to the minimum size as possible. And on the other side, of course, vice versa. So we're talking about, at a point, we are already criticizing our government being too big, being too bureaucratic, and yet we lay everything on the government. The government would say, I have FEMA just to finish a job, and Michael's coming. And then I have earthquakes, I have whatsoever, on and on and on and on. Then, well, so you want me to take care of Walmart shelves? No, that's unfair. I'm talking about overall, I'm talking about society as a team. So society works only when every part of society take a collaboration. Everybody, every part, every department does its job. I am talking about when the trade stops, though, there is one department, the free market. On the free market, you no longer see the cheap product. That hurts the American people. It may not hurt the United States economy. We still do the same rocket. We still do the same whatever high tech. We have no problem. NASA still runs. And we are talking about the bottom people at the bottom level. They are suffering. All right. So can we get to an agreement on this common ground?
It's not a common. I cannot get any common ground at this point. Up to this point with you with the issue, because we are totally sitting at a different angle to see the question and to see the problem. And if you take a look at the following blogs in the especially those anti-sentiment of the trade war between U.S. and China, you will see a lot of comments about just buy U.S. products, just stay with the government's initiative of going trade war. I don't use trade war. trade issue with China.
Trade
and,
unhappiness.
trade debate. Let's just put it in trade debate.
Trade unhappiness. How about that?
Yeah, let's just shift a little bit off between U.S. and China to the broader picture. Actually, U.S. has debate economically, industrially, and trade with not only China, but also their friend in Europe, German major economics, and German, French, and England, and also with North American countries, Canada, and Mexico. So it has debate, and this administration has a lot of debate or disagreement with major trade partners in the world. There's no question about it. And just specifically due to Walmart, it's just because Walmart buys 60% of its merchandise from China. That's a big issue. That's a discussion over here. Let's assume, because we cannot predict accurately and precisely without data. And at this moment, you and I, we don't have a solid data to support our debate. It's just it's just free talk. It's just liberal talk. And one thing I want to point out is that it's not a liberal, it's not a socialist or capitalist. I wouldn't use this terminology. I would use a liberal and conservative talk view on the government. And it doesn't matter from left or right or liberal or conservative view to the government. Because why government is sitting up over there, is that group of people select those people to help to serve our community. That's the basic function of a government. So it doesn't matter from which one you come up with, government will still cover the bottom line for those group of people in the bottom of the pyramid economically. So, go back to our issue. Without products made in China, in Walmart, that's fine. We may probably have products made from Southeast Asian countries, from African countries, and from South American countries. It will come up because Walmart will exist. 40 years already, it will exist probably in the next 40 years. And it will survive in the economic situations, whether or not there's a Chinese product or there is a products made from other countries.
You're done, right? I do agree that some replacement will come in. However, when that happens, that we need time. There's one big point that I would like to correct with you, was that you're talking about government, we need a government, we need a government. Do you know?
That's my point.
Do you know?
You cannot correct it. That's my view.
No.
You can have your own OU.
I want to correct the opinion with my audiences. How about that? All right, okay. All right. And I want to clarify with my audience that's a wrong perspective, right?
That's your point of view.
You were saying government. You know how come California slide from top of amongst all the nations down to almost the bottom? Because of our government. Because our government employees pension plans. At good times, we took so many government workers, right? We to give them so much benefit, and now we have to keep the contract. We got to keep going, and we have cut off a big chunk of our economy, our money to support that. That is why, because of government, we are poor. We're no longer rich.
I think
no. By then, next time, I'm not prepared because we are not. I never thought you were going to mention that. I have a bunch of numbers to support it, right? How, by what extent, and how big we cut off, and how big is the pension plan, how many years we need to so on and so forth. The bigger the government, the poorer the people. All right. Now, my friend, let's take a short moment now. We come back. We will continue probably we're done on this argument, this Walmart argument, we would have to find out there's a leftover at the people level what we want to do to help with the situation. Stay with us, please. Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. I have to make one confess that I was a little excited with my friend Wei Lo, and I believe he is so. Well, it is good. It is always good to argue with the friends. Why you argue with the friends? Because this, number one, this friend is qualified to argue with. Number two, by arguing, you will see some clearer points, right? Number three, we want to provide our audiences of who said what, make it themselves to decide, all right, to decide to say what they want to say. Welcome back to the show again. If you want to continue arguing, we can continue arguing. But anyway, let's talk about, you are just back from China.
Hold on just 1 second. Let me can I have a comment on your last statement before the advertisement?
Yeah, sure.
Before the break? I think that in terms of the government, I totally agree with you that California, we have a lot of issues with our state government here in the state. And pension issues, overexpending issues, a lot of bureaucracy issues, all totally agree with you. We need to reform the government. However, it looks to me, hopefully it is not true, that you threw out the water, you threw out the baby with the water.
No, we're not. I'm not.
No matter what, we still need a government.
I'm not.
And if there's a government sitting over there, and standing for,
my dear friend,
and they need to do the job.
Again, please do not shift the ground. I say government, bigger or smaller. I would never say overthrown the government. I never say replace the government.
No.
I never said that.
It looks to me, hopefully I'm wrong.
No, come on.
Hopefully to me is that don't deny the functionality that government
are
to
denying.
do.
I'm saying, I'm not denying. I'm saying we have to keep it the size of the government, which is big already.
Well, that's a different topic. That's a different topic.
All right. Well, nobody has said to deny. Nobody denied.
Because you presented following up my government job to the lower end of the people.
If that is your principle of
not
arguing,
lower end, excuse me.
I would
quit
arguing with you from now, right? I am talking about when you argue, you keep the same ground. Don't shift the ground. The ground was that government bigger or small.
No, I
right?
didn't.
So
no,
anyway,
I didn't.
Forget it. In that case, I quit arguing with you.
We will let the...
No.
And one thing I want to point out is that we would just let our audience to make their judgment. And also this kind of discussion, even if a lot of times our dispute goes to the extreme, is a better thing or good thing for our audience to thought, to generating, to stimulate their thought and reflection. That's the purpose of this show.
I am talking about the fact...
Would agree with me?
I am talking about the fact, the arguing style.
Oh, that's okay.
Not the arguing point. Arguing style is that we got to keep the same ground and then argue, right? And to say, we can discuss about the design of this cell phone being handsome or not for 2 days, right? I hate to say, well, my wife has another phone which is better than looking at this.
Okay.
Right? Don't shift the ground. Okay. Now.
Okay.
All right. Now, at the people level, I know you just came back from China, and you in China will see lots of people. And by the way, I owe my audience a little background information. About 4 years, Mr. Wei Lo, as a founder and the CEO of California Sunshine Education Center, has been doing a experimental school, now experimental school system already, at which he combines the Chinese curriculum with that of the United States, make a new one, to create a new one to teach over there. Not only the curriculum, the new curriculum, but the system and also the assessment system has been recognized by the country over there. All right. And they give them more school to run, and more school to run. Now you're talking about Shandong provincial level running with his system on the experimental level. That's quite a success. That's quite a contribution to, to the education, I would call international education. For that, we give him a big hand. So back to my question, you met with lots of people. At the people level, what do you think, regardless who's right, who's wrong, at the government level, at the country level? That's why we started with the show, country versus people, right? Forget the country part. At the bottom line, what people can do. Yesterday at the press conference, there's a Chinese American Film Festival and the Chinese American Television Festival on the 14th anniversary. We kick off this year. Mr. Chairman Su made it so clear, we don't care about what's happening in between the countries. Here we're talking about people to people. We're talking about filmmaker to filmmakers. We got a lot to do. We can do a lot, and we have done a lot. We're still doing a lot, and we will do a lot. So that's a good perspective. From that perspective, what you came back with?
First of all, I think that I admire Chairman Su's wisdom by putting out this film festival amid a relationship, relationship between Washington, D.C. and Beijing. Let's just put it this way, okay? And my perspective, take away from that part through my travel, observation as well as thought through my travel, most travel done last week. I just came back from China. I do see that even though we have a lot of issues between two administrations, people's life, especially everyday life, would not impacted a lot, and people didn't even think about there's a war between U.S. and China. Trade war between U.S. and China, and we just put it this way. And people still using Apple phones, still driving GM cars, and still driving, as just mentioned earlier in this part, in the session, Mercedes and everywhere. And I didn't see any sentiment anti-American. That's a good thing. Number one. Number two is that. If we take a look at the deeper look at the numbers, we will still see that China last month still exporting $38 billion more to the U.S. market than U.S. does. So there's a still over surplus of the trading between U.S. and China in the last month alone. So that's those numbers. All those numbers seems to be less impacted by the issues between U.S. and China at this moment. And I do see that the U.S. market also reacted positively, especially up to the day before yesterday, to what this administration, Trump administration, put it out to its major partners, especially the agreement just signed between U.S., Canada, and Mexico. People are still using iPhones, and people are still iPad, and also people still driving GM cars. Basically, Chevrolet and Mercedes is running everywhere. And if we just want to take a look at the data, trade data between U.S. and China last month, and China is still over exporting $38 billion U.S. dollars over U.S. side to China to the U.S. market. It is still surplus over there. So it looks like that these administration's trade war or raise up the tariff to Chinese products does not impact that category.
Yeah, that's a correction. That's a correction.
There's a correction. I believe with down the road.
That was the correction, result of the correction. So you see surplus.
I mean, which is a turnover or just there's a turnover sometime down the road.
Yes.
Down the road, we'll see. For that, probably you're right. We cannot use that number to prove that Donald Trump is wrong. And however, there's one thing positive showing in the market straight 2 days before is that the Wall Street seems reactive positively to the trade deficit, trade debate or the trade correction adjustment policy with major trade partners of U.S. in the world. So everything looks like that this administration doing something appealing to the market as well to the people, especially to the vote.
If nobody tells you there's a trade war going on between the United States and China, you suppose you are not watching TV, you're not reading newspapers. By seeing the people on the street, though, can you tell something is going on?
No.
No.
No, definitely not. As I just presented or shared with the audience and you, respectively, is that trade volume between U.S. and China only takes about 4% of China's total GDP. 4%.
And looking at the price over the shelf, though, do you see a surge?
No, I didn't see any surge, especially people still buying like crazy. This past national holiday, which took about 7 days, 8 days, excuse me, even longer than Chinese Spring Festival, New Year.
Yeah, that's a long
that's
vacation.
A long day. It's a long vacation. And Chinese spend 800 billion US dollars within 8 days on the traffic, on the food, and other recreational item that they purchase throughout the road.
People are still as happy as they were.
Couldn't be happier as they were.
That's good. Very good, very good.
If you take a look at the traffic
at school, do the kids or teachers talk about the trade war, or as if nothing had happened?
In my school, I cannot speak on behalf of other schools. In my school, I was the only person to talk about trade war. Nobody interested in learning more about it. That's a fact.
I see. They don't even ask you.
They didn't have I volunteered my speech to my teacher during my training session beginning of this semester. I said that, how about I talk a little bit about the trade war between U.S. and China, and teacher says, okay, we can just have something interesting more than the contents of the training. That's it.
All right. On the street, though, do you see lots of portraits and slogans as before?
No, there's nothing mentioned even in the propaganda of the party's newspaper, not mentioning, they are not using or trying to avoid using the trade war terminology. They just talk about there's a different debate between debate or disagreement.
Disagreement.
That's right.
Disagreement, yeah.
They trying to avoid the war and trade war, not like our newspapers using over here.
I see. So, in other words, of course, same here. You don't see anything on the street, right? You don't see, even made in China, you don't see a price surge. Everything remains. Well, now, in the very beginning, we talked about we mentioned a little bit about Donald Trump, that for the past 7-something month period, I started to look at what he has done so far. So I know that you, during the time you were doing half and half. You stayed half here, and you stayed half of the time, like 3 months in China, right?
Not really. I would say 1/3 of my time in the past 7 months.
How do you think Donald Trump is doing now?
Well, I think this is, first of all, Donald Trump is the president I have ever experienced in my 28 years life in this country that kept his commitment during his presidency tenure of his championship words. Championship words.
You mean his campaign?
What he said during the campaign still kept, and I would say, let me just put it this way. He's the president who said he would do during the campaign. He really does it after the campaign and took the office. What he said during the campaign.
All right. In other words,
hope this is not.
In other words, he went on it and started doing one by one.
He's the president
on a scheduled way. In a scheduled way.
He is the president. Just simply put, he is the president of his words.
All right. I kind of like believe that.
I have to give him credit on that.
Yeah, that's a very profound
character.
All right.
As
and
a
lots of people, lots of my friends had been talking about this, the following. They say, since the system is a pendulum system, going left a little bit, going right a little bit, or let him go to the right. Well, even if he goes over the limit or by extent too much, though, still would not hurt this country.
I agree.
All right, get it? Okay, this final agreement. All right, my dear friends, finally, he and we reached an agreement. Of course, I'm joking. Just for the purpose of entertaining you, just for the purpose of making point clear. I respect him a lot, and he is a hero in my eye, and I would say a pioneer who opened the road. How about that, right? So that wraps up today's interview, and my dear audiences, thank you for watching, and to Principal Lo.
Thank you very much, but I don't share your last words about Donald Trump.
All right, good. Anyway.